tactically, they were excellent. I think organisation, how they pressed and organised press on Arsenal's goal kicks, and then went into a lower block, let Arsenal have possession and tried to hit them on the break, and could have won the game by 2 or 3. So I think they got it spot on. I think for Arsenal, I was a bit disappointed with how they played, disappointed with the fans as well. I think the fans against Real Madrid were excellent and really pushed the team. I thought tonight they were a bit subdued, a bit. It was almost like an anti-climax that Arsenal beat Real Madrid, that they're going to walk into the final and win the competition. The fans had to be there for them tonight, and the players had to show up, of course, but I think on both sides it wasn't good enough tonight for Arsenal.
Yeah, maybe the fans hadn't been watching close enough what this PSG side have been doing this season. They might refer back to October and think we beat them 2-0 then, we're the same side, but this PSG side are not the same side, and they're clinical.
They are, but I feel, a lot of the Arsenal fans will go away really disappointed, like you're saying, but, to some extent, PSG, there was more in it for them of how poor Arsenal were in stages of the game. And look, for me, Arsenal, yes, very naive in the first half, and the way they pressed. We noticed a big change in the second half, and there was a bit more of a Champions League feel to it, a bit more slowing the game down, trying to, get hold of the game and not to lose the game. And look, it's still 90 more minutes, of course it is, but it's a big ask for them to go there and get a result. I understand that, but I think they'll just be disappointed in the way they started, because like Wayne was saying there, the energy that's created, in the stadium and from the Real Madrid game, didn't quite feel. I think when that goal went in, it took away the VAR, it took the stuffing out of everyone in the whole stadium. It
felt like that would have been a huge momentum shift, because they'd started that second half exactly how you'd want them to, Clarence.
Yeah, winning some matches is one thing, and winning the Champions League is another. I think the fear to win kicked in today, and I'm an Arsenal fan in terms of how they've played over the years. But the thing I've always said is that for them to really elevate to that winning club, that winning team, there has to be a shift in mentality. And today I saw some elements that either they choose to get out of it in the second leg, because for me, if they would play, actually I saw Paris Saint-Germain doing what I expected Arsenal to do. Knowing when to press high, go low and sit back and just wait for the opponent to, force a pass and then counter-attack. I mean, this is how you have to play the Champions League, and I didn't see that at all from
Well,
Arsenal.
for every single Arsenal player, it was a first semi-final in the Champions League. Was that lack of experience the difference, Daniel?
Lack of experience, I think both sides, have players who are experienced and who aren't.
Paris Saint-Germain, more players, though, played through the Champions League up to a final.
I mean, yes, but by the same token, these are international footballers we're talking about. We're talking about guys who have played in, European semi-finals, finals, World Cups. They've played on the biggest stage, so we can't make an excuse about experience. At the end of the day, I feel like, personally, the yellow card for Partey, it proved costly this leg. It was no Partey, no party. It's, for me.
So far, the party's on.
I mean, yeah, but
it's finished. Like you guys are talking like it's finished.
No, you're talking. I didn't say that. I did not say that. No. But let me finish. Because when you look at how they defended within the game, he brings solidity. He brings that defensive awareness. I think Declan Rice on the ball tonight in phases was magnificent, driving forward with the ball. But on the other side, Marino's been playing false nine. So it is a unique thing we talked about before the game, about changing that tactical awareness and going, okay, I'm an attacker now. Now I have to focus on the defensive possibilities that I need to worry about. And I think for me, they lacked that solidity in the midfield.
Daniel's point, should we have a look at the goal? Because we can see there where Partey might have made a difference there, Wayne.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really good pass. Breaks the lines, and then Dembele gets the ball, gets driving at the Arsenal defence, and then he plays it out wide. Now Arsenal have enough time to recover, and I think Declan Rice just makes the wrong decision. He comes in and he thinks he's trying to cover, of course, that's what's going through his mind, cover his teammate, but I think by leaving that space at the edge of the box, that's where the danger is, that's where obviously Dembele's...
And if we also could highlight, that ball was a great ball, but what was actually really wrong is that the player on the left side stayed on the left side when the ball was on the right side. I mean, you have to shovel, then the ball would never come. There were so many moments where they could avoid it, a attack of Paris Saint-Germain, just because they wouldn't move 10 meters.
It's in the quarter-final, semi-final, final of Champions League, the details of what you're talking about, that's what wins you them or loses you the competition. And I think today Arsenal just didn't get a lot of the details right. and that's what's cost them the game.
I don't look at that goal and say it's Declan Rice's fault, because on the other side, Merino makes a defensive run back. By the same token, he ran into a position. He didn't run towards the ball. So, you know, we can say, firstly here, obviously, Merino's goes to press. He's out of position. He makes the run back. If you look where Dembele is now, look, he's one-on-one with Kvaratskhelia. You're thinking, okay, I'm going to give him a bit of help. Merino's tracking back to the penalty spot. He's not gone towards the ball to affect what's going to happen. The cutback is there, and by the same token, you can see Rice is going over to help. So if my mate's going over to help in the other position, you see Merino now, he's just worrying about getting back into position. He's not worrying about where the ball could be played. So for me, I would say it's a, you know...
There's a lot of errors, isn't it?
There's a lot of
errors in that, and I think we just need to remember it's not because of Declan Rice is not used to that position. I've been in that position, what you were saying, Clarence, there with Martinelli, who wasn't quite sure if he had to come inside. He's worried about, you know, Hakimi and an overload on that side, so he's drawn towards that. I've been in that position, and then I would feel a little bit uncomfortable coming into a centre midfield position, but that's where players, the experience you're talking about,
yeah, exactly.
about recognising danger and staying to that position, and then that could have been avoided by a lot of the players.
It's also logics, no? I mean, the ball is on the far other side, on the left back position. At that point, your right back is not important. You need to go in close. Those are the basic things that had to happen, and I think the reading of those situations. Well, I think you're right. He was worried about Hakimi, but that was not the worry. At the end, Dembele was the most important player.
And we're going to look at positives. Partey is back next week, which will give some solidity to Arsenal.
Without question, I think it's, you know, it speaks to itself. The team now will pick itself next week, and I just feel that element we spoke about before the game with, you know, playing a system and used to a system, and now all of a sudden it's completely been torn apart by a decision, is really unusual to see Partey reacting that way. So for me, it's a big
Hold your
miss.
thoughts just for a moment, because David Raya is awaiting. He is with Gabriel Clark.
David, a lot of frustration, a lot of effort tonight. What's the verdict?
Well, they started very quick with a goal, and I thought they dominated the first 15-20 minutes, but after that I thought we dominated most of the game. We created the chances. Donnarumma made some brilliant saves, and it's only half time. We take a lot of positives from this. We know they are a top team, but credit to the players for the effort that we put on the pitch, that we could have won the game as well.
Were you caught a little bit cold with the goal? It was a 26-pass move. They seem to get through very easily.
Well, we know they keep the possession a lot, and they're really good at that. And obviously they had that chance and they put it back in the net, and obviously that went for them. And that's just football. And we had the chances to score, but we didn't manage to put the goal.
Well, you put the ball in the net just after half-time. The margins were so tight. You didn't have that lift-off moment. You heard the roar of the crowd when Arsenal scored. Just needed that lift-off moment tonight, didn't it?
Yeah, I've not seen the goal back. Well, the disallowed goal from Mikel, but we needed that. I think we needed that lift, and we showed from the 20th, 25th minute from the first half that we can win against any team, and we showed this season that we can win in an away game as well. So we're going to go to Paris next week to win the game.
Did you lose a bit of balance, do you think, with no Thomas Partey? Having looked so good against Real Madrid, just did it affect things not only in midfield but in attack?
Well, we know how important Thomas is for us, but luckily enough we have a good depth in midfield and in the team that everybody kind of stepped in, and obviously it was Declan who played as a 6, and I think he showed a great game as well. He was really good on the ball, and I think everyone was really good today.
It's make it happen, the Champions League motto. You've seen it. It was there on display tonight. So how do you make it happen next week?
Just try to approach the game the same way. I thought we played really well, and we put them in the back foot. We hurt them a lot. I know they created their chances as well, but that's part of football. But we created a lot of chances as well. So just approach the same way, and we know we can win against any team.
And of course, it could have been a lot bigger, 1 goal bigger, the PSG margin, but for a great save by yourself in the first half.
Yeah, I'm there just for the team, to try and help the team as much as possible. And luckily enough, I managed to save the ball, and I'm just happy with that save. So just let's go next week against Paris and in Paris, and then let's win the game.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, he did make some important saves tonight, David Raya, and those Arsenal fans leaving here tonight will be grateful for that. They'll also be grateful that some of those chances PSG had towards the end of the second half didn't make it in the back of the net, because taking 2 or 3 goals in terms of Paris Saint-Germain's lead back to their place would be a totally different prospect.
And this is what I was talking about, you know, still being in the game when they've had opportunities to take it away from Arsenal. And again, Arsenal had some really good chances themselves, but PSG, I think Raya there's talking the fact that clear chances for, you know, that's a fantastic save for PSG, weren't as clear as Arsenal.
These ones
had.
coming later in the second half.
Yeah, but you know, there's opportunities for them to still be in the game. So they're still in the game. Look, massive moments, and we're talking about this would maybe potentially kill the tie if they go into PSG 2-0 up. And that's what I was saying about PSG will be disappointed is only one. You know, and this one is an incredible chance as well. I feel it's just a big miss.
I think when we look at the chances, we can say, yeah, they got away with it, and it's almost similar to the end of the Aston Villa game where we're thinking, okay, they've scored that extra goal and it's kind of killed it off. With this one now, it leaves Arsenal with so much hope. They know that they've missed one of their best players. They're going to be going into this next game, feeling confident, to be honest, because I do feel that they can cause PSG big problems. They weren't at their best tonight, clearly, and I do believe Arsenal have the capabilities to go out there and win the game.
It's very difficult to do interviews after the match and do a good analysis of the match, because sometimes the feeling doesn't really match the reality. But I do hope you will have a good look at the match tomorrow, because it's important to understand what went wrong, right? Because it's the second leg, I think Arsenal have so many things to learn from today that can help them. It's not so difficult, because we have seen Paris Saint-Germain go in difficulty the moment you have an organised defensive team in front of them. So
I think what's happened there is I think Mikel Arteta has probably gone in and tried to be as positive as he can be, and David Raya has given that message back out, because certainly what he said wasn't what happened
necessarily
in the game. But I think for Arsenal, I think there's a fear. I think over the last few years, psychologically, there's a fear of just not getting over the line. We've seen it with, they ran Manchester City close a few times in the league.
Yeah.
They've ran Liverpool a little bit close. Now they've beat Madrid, they're close in the Champions. I think there's a fear psychologically. There's a hurdle they have to get over.
You know, they were out in the quarter-final last year after a 6-year absence. They've got to a semi-final. Even if they go out, there's progress.
Yeah, but you need to be successful as well to build. That's the only way you can build, is being successful in certain ways on the way to that journey to get to that top. And I just don't think they're making them steps.
I think this result might actually help them to be free in the next match. They have nothing to lose.
Well, they put all their eggs in this basket, haven't they?
Yeah.
Look, they beat Madrid away. The expectation was they're probably not going to get through, right, around the place. I believe they thought tonight we can go toe-to-toe with this team. They're good enough to do that. I think PSG are in a similar position to Arsenal in a sense. They've not won the Champions League. You know, they're still building as well. They had the Galacticos with the Mbappes, the Neymars, the Messis, a team that they would have anticipated would have brought them a Champions League. That's not happened. Now they have a team that is young, hungry, with experience, that are doing well. So by the same token, I think they're in similar positions as clubs, and they both are trying to search for the next step.
OK, I think we can hear from PSG. Vitinha is with Gabriel.
Vitinha, well done. You've had some great performances this season at Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League, but where do you place tonight?
It was a great night, but mostly for the group. I think it was a very, very good performance for the team. Mainly, we have the ball in most of the games. Sorry, we controlled the games with the ball, and this game we had to adapt to the different circumstances that the match had, and we did it. We defended well, we attacked well. It was a very good game for us, from us. It was a really good, strong, solid performance.
Did we see the very best as well of Paris Saint-Germain after 4 minutes? A 26-pass move. I don't know if you're aware for the goal.
I didn't.
26 passes.
I was not aware, but that shows the dynamic that we have, the strong collective that we have, and we have to continue like this. It's not over. We have to do a great match in the second hand and in Paris, and we are glad to come here and to win.
You had a few chances near the end. Should it have been more, or are you also grateful to your goalkeeper again?
Both. I think Gigio had a great match as well. But like I said, the team, it was really the key for this game. And yeah, we could have scored more as well, but we are glad with the 1-0, and we're going to do everything in our power to take the win with us and go to the final.
And you'll likely, of course, face Thomas Partey next week in your midfield area. Arsenal will feel he will make a difference.
I don't know. He's a very good player, and we always want the good players in the field.
Well done tonight.
Thank you.
Well played.
We spoke a lot about Vitinha and the midfield ahead of tonight's match, and how that was maybe the area that the game could be won or lost, and that Vitinha would want to pull the strings tonight.
What I found really interesting as well, for talking about two inexperienced teams to some extent in the Champions League, is the way he said about adapting. They've learned a lot from previous history of the fact that they managed to adapt their style tonight, and understood there may be moments that they would have suffered, maybe suffered more than they expected to suffer more, sorry. But I just think it's very fascinating to see a player being able to have that space on the pitch to say, look guys, we're talking about players getting hold of each other and adapting in the right time, the right moments. And he 100% did that tonight. And I think he was absolutely fantastic to watch and to perform. But look, he knows it's not over. He knows he wants to challenge himself against the best players. So look, this tie is still on. I think people need to realise this. It's a long way still.
And they might have the same issue as Arsenal had today, right? Playing home, pressures on the whole week. Everybody's talking about it. Let's see how they will cope with it. But the thing is that tactically, really, they have actually played the game that Paris Saint-Germain wanted, giving a lot of space with the most technical players on the midfield. You know, being very far from the goal, so with space to make runs. The adjustment will be easy. Now it's a matter of do they believe in it as much as they should.
Well, Arsenal have now gone 6 semi-finals without a goal, and one almost came within 4 minutes of the second half. Marino's goal took about 3 minutes before VAR decided it was offside, but you saw it straight away, Wayne.
Yeah, you could see with your own eyes, so I don't know why it took that long, but it's a good ball and obviously a good header, but I think he is just slightly offside. The frustrating thing is the amount of time it took to...
Because actually the energy was good for Arsenal, wasn't it? And then when if it had been given offside straight away, that energy kind of maybe was still there. It got sucked out of the whole place.
But that was the surprising thing. I mean, you're playing home. This is where you have to give energy from minute 1 till the end, right? Because now the next match you won't have that advantage in terms of manpower. So it was a bit disappointing.
But players need help, and the players need help. There's games you go into, and I thought the fans here against Real Madrid were fantastic. The best I've ever heard it at the Emirates, and I thought they really give a massive amount of energy to the players, and you've seen what the players done on the pitch. And I thought tonight they just didn't give them that same energy, and you know, in big games, in semi-finals of Champions League, maybe that might be the difference. So I think the fans really had to give a little bit more time. Listen, fans have been through a lot here at Arsenal, and I'm not blaming them, but I feel if they brought the same energy what they brought against Real Madrid, it might have, you know, lifted the players by 5%.
When they played away at Real Madrid, they were very, very good. We talked what you talked about in terms of adapting his style. They played a very different style in the second leg than they did in the first leg against Real Madrid. So why can't they do the same this time? I think, truly believe they can. I have belief in this squad of players at Arsenal. You know, a lot of their best players didn't perform to their best tonight, and they're going to want to put it right next week. So I'm anticipating a great performance from them, and you know, it's going to be the best. Who's the best man is going to be what the best team's going to win.
And one of these nights, Donnarumma's going to have an off night, isn't he? Because yet again tonight he put in some exceptional saves.
And we're talking about obviously an Arsenal team that haven't performed at their levels, but they have moments where they still could have got something out of the game and not even performing well. And the fact that, you know, Daniel's saying about, I believe as well, because when you're still not performing at a level, but you still have these clear chances and to be in those positions. And yeah, it didn't quite go their way tonight, but this is what we're talking about. We're talking about an Arsenal team who can create moments when they're not performing well. And I mean, this one for me, Donnarumma, is an incredible save. Trossard does everything right. Maybe he doesn't hit it as clean, but we saw Dembele's goal. He didn't hit it clean, still going, but incredible save, and he was at his best tonight, and he was an absolute man-mounter. He really was.
It looks like the type of keeper that if you put it to the side, his arms are that long that he's going to save it. It's almost like you have to shoot closer to his body or around him, like right near his face, because when you shoot his arms, it seems like he's got such a big wingspan.
You know what's a good idea.
What's
Top corner.
Not everybody has that Tekka's, Clarence, okay?
Well, he has been the difference, hasn't he, in so many of their matches throughout this season. And this tonight, Arsenal's first defeat at home in the Champions League this season. But to your point about, next week is a new week. Obviously, for PSG, they were 1-0 down against Liverpool and went back to Anfield. And on that night, we thought the difference would be Anfield for them. This is a team that has obviously learnt to win in different ways through the Champions League this season.
Yeah, and, I think for them, there will be pressure at their stadium to get the job done. The fans will be anticipating a similar performance to tonight. For Arsenal, they've got to go there with no fear like they will. And they're going to have a game plan that's going to ensure that they can be at their best. OK,
let's get some reaction from the manager. Mikel Arteta is with Gabriel.
Mikel, a lot of frustration, a lot of energy tonight. What's your verdict?
Well, disappointed with the result. Obviously, we put so much into the game. It's true that the first 10-15 minutes we struggle to get momentum and to get the dominance that we wanted to find, especially because we weren't very efficient the moment we regained the ball and where we won it, and that caused us a few issues. But regardless of that, they didn't have anything apart from the goal. It's a very individual moment. That's the margins in this level. And after that, I think the team went better and better and better, and disappointing not to get a draw at least.
It was a 26-pass move for Paris Saint-Germain's goal. Do you look at that as great play, or do you look as well at your team maybe being caught out of position a little?
There is always, credit to them because they get out from a situation that is completely closed. It's in the weak side. That's what they do. They bring the 9 very, very far from the reference of your central defenders, and after that, a lot of things have to still to happen. We have 7 players behind the ball when the ball arrives to wide areas. That's what they do, and they were very clinical. So sometimes you have to just recognize the talent of the position.
There was a great noise throughout tonight, and most of all early in the second half when Marino scores. You just didn't have that lift-off moment.
Yeah, well, that was a great timing, and that's the margin. That's millimeters offside. The action of Martinelli is through one-on-one. The keeper makes a big save. He's done it in the previous games against Liverpool and Villa. Leo Trossard is completely on one-on-one as well, and he makes the save. That's the margins. That's the level in this semi-final.
Thomas Partey was such a part of, has been such a part of what you've done in the Champions League, and especially in the last tie. Did you miss him tonight?
I don't know. I think Declan and Mikel, they were enormous today.
He'll add something, though, coming back, Thomas, in terms of what he does give you maybe in the balance, both in midfield and in attack?
He gives options. He gives us a different threat as well in the box. With having Mikel the possibility to play him there, he gives us flexibility and options to change the game as well. So it's all good.
So what do you learn from tonight for next week? Listen, I know you'll review the tape, of course, but what do you take sort of instantly about tonight and your feeling for next week?
That is half-time, and we have a big chance to be in that final.
Make it happen, as the banner says.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's advance from that question then. With a 1-0 scoreline, what does Mikel Arteta do differently next week in Paris?
I think he can't go away from the game plan, what they've had for the majority of the season, how they play. And I think if he tries to change too much, then the players mightn't be used to that. So I think they have to just go there and be patient to keep themselves in the game at 1-0. And then towards the end, they can gamble and try and get the goal if they haven't already got the goal. So I think the game plan shouldn't change in terms of what they've done all season. Slightly different to what it was today in the first half, I feel. But they have to just stay patient and have that belief that they can get something out of the game.
I feel they need to get people like Bukayo Saka a bit more involved in the game, but isolating his fullback. At times he was not doubled up but tripled up. PSG, they were, because they had the ball so much, their energy levels were just consistently high, so they had the numbers to get back to help in those situations. So I think they need to try and encourage that a little bit more, trying to get Martin Odegaard and those connections, particularly on that side. But look, they created chances, just like Mikel was saying there. They're still in this game. They know that they can be a threat in some moments, but it's a completely different mindset going into this because they have to win. So they're going to have to take those risks in certain moments of the game, but also as well be compact.
You said it well, but that's Champions League, right? Every match you have to win, even in the 2-leg, knockout. You have to win all the matches. The mindset is that. So I think that now they will be free. I believe that the pressure is off now. You know, playing home can come with a lot of pressure, especially for a team that has not been there yet. So yeah, they have nothing to lose. They have the team to do it. They went to Real Madrid. Both teams went to actually the I would say the most experienced clubs, right? Liverpool
and Real Madrid.
And Real Madrid. the difference that I've seen in PSG, they took the positive out of that and got better. And Arsenal, I think, slowed down a little bit mentally. Maybe that was the final for them. Oh, it was so important and difficult to win against the big Madrid. So maybe this was just a reflection, and the next match will be the Arsenal that we've seen in the previous matches.
Yeah, anything to advance on that?
No, I mean, I think it's going to be a tough game, you know, psychologically for the players, like Clarence is saying. They've got to be free in the mind, not worry about anything. It's going to be the biggest game in their careers, in a sense. Arsenal Football Club, how long they've been playing here, pushing for a Champions League, and they're very close, and it's very possible for them to do it. So they've just got to have the belief in their squad, which I'm sure the manager's instilling them. Didn't talk negatively. Raya talked positively also about the players that were on the pitch. They're going to go and analyse it, decide how they can improve and come up with a game plan, because PSG's fluidity and the flexibility all around the pitch caused big problems tonight, and it confused them a little bit. But going into the next game, they're going to come up with a new game plan, because clearly this one didn't work, and they've got to bring a surprise to PSG, which is what PSG did to them today.
It's their whole season, though, isn't it? You know, this is 1 week and 1 day away. They've got Bournemouth at the weekend. The league has gone. All the other cup competitions have gone. This is everything the next 8 days.
It is, but I think Arsenal are used to that over the years. They get to a certain stage of the season and things fall away, and that's not me being really negative.
Cheers, mate. Honestly, Wazzy,
no, it's not me being negative. It's me telling the truth. I'm telling the truth with it. That's what has happened to Arsenal over the years, so they're used to that. I think what Arsenal need to do is go in there, I think Daniel said then, with a belief that they can win. Listen, I want Arsenal to win. I want them to go to the final. I hope they win the competition. But they have to go into that game with a belief. We'll be seeing from the PSG away fans tonight, Arsenal need to be ready for a real hostile atmosphere. They have to be patient. They have to slow the game down at the right times, take the ball at the right times, and then when they get the chances, be clinical. That's the only way they'll win over them.
And be compact. Every time we've seen PSG against a team that was compact, they had difficulty because their players need a bit of space to do their stuff. So yeah, I'm very excited to see how the reaction will come next week.
Let's get some reaction from PSG then. Luis Henrique is with Gabriel.
Luis, well done. You've had some great performances against English clubs in this competition, but to win here today, what's your verdict?
Well, I think emotions are at that level in those kind of matches that it's difficult to analyze a match like that. Very difficult to play, great atmosphere. But I think we show the kind of team we are. We try to play in our way. We scored the first goal in the first 2 or 3 minutes, playing the way we try to play. I'm happy. We suffer a lot sometimes of the match. We could score even the second goal, but I think there is still a second match, and it's going to be very tough.
Do you feel you should have scored more and won by more, or are you grateful to your goalkeeper again?
Well, that's the work of goalkeepers, no? Save the team, they work every single day for that. And we need, in that semi-final, you need all the players at the high level perform. And I think all of them, for both teams, all the goalkeepers were great.
Did experience tell today, because you've been in a Champions League semi-final as a manager? Most of your players have been in a Champions League semi-final, but Arsenal haven't been in this situation before.
Well, I think it's not important in that moment when you feel that energy that both teams create into the pitch. I think we need to prepare the second match. It's going to be difficult. The result, it means a little bit of advantage for us. But I think we need to go through that match with same mentality, and we are going to suffer. We know that, and I hope we can. Our supporters in our stadium and with our atmosphere, I think we can go through the final. That's our message. But there is still one match.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, there is just one more match, but it's also just one goal in it. I wonder what that will do to the way Luis Henrique sets his team up next week, Daniel.
Well, he posed a surprise today because, you know, we thought maybe they'd be a bit more free-flowing, which they were in the previous matches, and they adopted more of a reserved approach where they were allowing Arsenal to, you know, advance, and they were allowing them to be pressed, and then they were playing through it, and it was a different style of PSG that we saw tonight. So will they be the same PSG tonight, or will they go back to their previous selves? We don't know. That they're such a explorative team who can adapt their styles with the technical players they have in midfield and in attack. You know, Dembele at times tonight was almost a box in midfield. He wasn't a number 9. So they have so many different options within their team. It's on the other side, though. Arsenal have to figure out how they're going to deal with these players and not allow one-on-one actions like they did with Kvaratskhelia on the left and Doué on the right were causing big problems. They've got to try and stop those problems happening earlier on up the pitch, because once you allow them to get in those wide areas 1v1, it's going to be a tough time for your fullbacks.
Well, a lot changed with after 4 minutes, right? If you score so early, then you can definitely adapt your tactics at that point. I think they were trying to push, they were pressing high, and they got the goal early. At that point, I can go and sit back a little bit and wait for you and try to find my second goal. So it's only one goal, obviously. Everything is possible.
Theo, tell us why Arsenal can go to Paris next week and get the job done, and to prove Wayne wrong, that they can go the distance there. I know you want them to win.
They can do, but they have to be better than tonight.
You're saying they have to bring their boots, right? That's what you're saying. No, I feel like Arsenal...
Your boots.
No, I feel like they're going to have to do elements in the game today. PSG, like you were saying at half-time, they were winning free kicks. We all understand Arsenal's main strength is free kicks and set pieces, etc. And you go into a stadium which is going to be very hostile, and you have to frustrate them. So the players are going to have to be smart and slow the game down by winning these silly little fouls, trying to play the game, trying to lure these defenders in. And that's what I was talking about, trying to isolate the wingers. And that's going to be their best bet at trying to win the game. And I feel like it's going to have to be set pieces just to get a result. I really do.